We've heard from his lawyers, we've heard from his publicists, but now Nelly speaking out for the first time on camera, telling us how he feels about the coverage of the sexual assault allegations against him, and also declare, what does he feel about traveling? Because now, of course, he's facing an allegation in England, and he's still traveling around the world. So
but this started with the Washington allegation,
yes.
And he's pissed off at the way this was handled. That case was dropped, but it got a lot more publicity, and this is the way it always works when the allegation was made versus when the charges are dropped. So we got him at LAX, and he was actually surprisingly open.
How do you respond to those allegations, man? They must be crazy for you.
No, I'm gonna respond like I've always responded from day one.
What's that?
Innocent.
Yeah. Do you think you're being treated fairly?
I don't know. When my charges got dropped, I don't think that made as much headlines as my accusers.
Isn't it a bad idea to get intimate with fans, like given, what
I don't know about that.
I thought that answer was interesting. It was a great question by Charlie.
It's
Is it a bad idea
by Charlie
to get intimate with fans? And I would have expected Nelly to just say, obviously, I don't think you should.
But he took pause.
No, but yeah.
He took pause in that because I think, look, this is the new reality. And again, I don't know what happened with Nelly and the bus and everything else. He says nothing happened, but
well, he says that there was sex. He says
right,
it
but it was that it was consensual. But this is a dangerous territory.
Yeah, and it is a thing to think about. Look, Nelly's acknowledging he had sex with a woman in Washington State. He says it was consensual, but you would have to, if you're a performer, you have to think about, even though you're in your mind, you say this is fully consensual, but when you bring a complete stranger to your hotel room, to your tour bus, you've got to be aware of this.
I get it. I think, though, in this reckoning and this kind of new awareness that we have, we should be changing the rules of consent, not the rules of sex, right? You can have sex with whoever wants to have sex with you, as long as they want to have sex with you.
That's always been the rule.
That's always the rule.
But that's always the rule.
I know, but there used to be that was always how we looked at it, but there used to be, obviously there was a thinking that you could pressure someone and cajole someone into doing something that they didn't want to do. Obviously, a lot of guys were operating by that modus operandi.
Well, therein lies a slippery slope. Suppose a guy is dating a girl and moves in to kiss her for the first time, makes the first move.
Well, then, if she moves, that's not consent. If she kisses you, that's consent.
I understand that, but
what if she feels like she was only kissing you because she was afraid of what your reaction would be? Slippery
slope.
That's a question to me. See, I don't think that slope is that slippery. I think if you give off the impression, and women are smart, and I think that if you give off the impression that, yo, you have to kiss me, that's a different thing than shooting your shot. And I think a lot of these cases, they were very clear cut that these women were put in positions where they didn't feel like they could say no. And I think that's a lot different than just, especially if you're on like a date, right? Like
well, that's not the Aziz. Sorry.
It's like, then you've got to say, is somebody saying yes because they're pressured, or is saying yes because they're saying yes? This is a very difficult thing. And by the way, the rule hasn't changed a bit. But
the rule was all the same. The question was, were they adhering by it? Because at this point, the voices that we're hearing are voices that we hadn't heard from previously, because they hadn't been allowed to speak.
Well, no, absolutely. And there's been a lot of abuse, and the abuse is being exposed and all that, and that's good. But in terms of how people conduct themselves, I'll tell you, with the Nelly thing, I'm just going to predict this. There are going to be a lot of stars who interact with fans who are going to secretly videotape interactions, and they're not going to release the video, but they're going to hold the videos. And I don't have any knowledge of this.
I mean, even that right there,
it's scary.
I mean, even secretly videotaping someone is infringing upon their consent.
Oh, no.
So you can't, you know what I mean?
You're missing my point.
No, I get your point, but like you can't. It's not a significant. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right. It's wrong. You can't do that. But what I'm saying is, I have a feeling, and I have no knowledge of this, but I have a feeling if you got some singer who says, I can either be accused of videotaping or rape, they're going to choose videotaping.
Right. I didn't sexually abuse you, but here's the video of your naked body that I took while you weren't paying attention. I don't know if that's going to be a thing, Harvey. I think that what we need to do is be smart. Like, if you're in a situation where there's any murkiness, just get out of that situation. If you're
say what the murkiness is, though.
Well, listen. Well, then in that case, I don't know. You need an app. Because I'm serious. Because I really do believe.
Excuse me. Can you just hold for a minute?
No, I'm serious. Because I think that if men feel less inherently entitled, then this is not that hard. But who knows if they can do it?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Rob from Philly. The Nelly situation is sticky. It's definitely a slippery slope. When you're a man of a certain stature and you put yourself in a certain platform, things are liable to happen. You got to be able to deter certain situations. So it's tough for him. It's tough for anybody in that kind of situation. So hopefully he's innocent. Hopefully he didn't do none of that kind of stuff. And it's not a good look, though.
Yeah.